Glory to God the Father and Son Yeshua Mashiach. 2 Chronicles chapter 1. Solomon's burnt offerings. Shelomo the son of David grew stronger in his rulership. Adonai his God was with him, making him greater and greater. Shelomo spoke to all Yisrael, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, to the judges and to every leader in all Yisrael, the heads of clans. Shelomo and the whole community with him went to the high place at Givon, because in that place was God's tent of meeting, which Moshe the servant of Adonai had made in the desert. But the ark of God David had brought up from Kirjath Jearim to the place he had prepared for it. He had set up a tent for it in Jerusalem. The bronze altar crafted by Betzalel the son of Uri the son of Hor had been placed before the tabernacle of Adonai, and there Shelomo and the community consulted him. On the bronze altar at the tent of meeting Shelomo offered 1,000 burnt offerings before Adonai. Solomon asks for wisdom. That night God appeared to Shelomo and said to him, "Tell me what I should give you." Shelomo said to God, "You showed much grace to your servant David my father and have made me king in his place. Now, Adonai, God, you have been faithful to your promise to David my father, for you have made me king over a people as numerous as the grains of dust on the earth. So now, give me wisdom and knowledge, so that I will be able to lead this people. For who is equal to judging this great people of yours?" God grants Solomon's request. God said to Shelomo, "Because you set your heart on this, because, instead of asking for riches, wealth, honor, the death of those who hate you, or long life, you asked for wisdom and knowledge for yourself, so that you would be able to judge my people, over whom I made you king. Not only are wisdom and knowledge being given to you, but I will also give you riches, wealth and honor such as no king before you has ever had, and no king after you will have as much." Solomon's riches. So Shelomo came away from the high place at Givon, from in front of the tent of meeting, to Jerusalem, and he ruled over Yisrael. Shelomo amassed chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen. He placed them in the chariot cities and with the king in Jerusalem. The king made silver and gold in Jerusalem as common as stones, and he made cedars as abundant as sycamore fig trees in the Shephelah. Shelomo's horses had been brought from Egypt and from Kiev, with the king's agents having bought him from the dealers in Kiev at the going price. A chariot brought from Egypt cost 15 pounds of silver shekels, and a horse 3¾ pounds of shekels. All the kings of the Hittim and the kings of Aram purchased them at these prices through Shelomo's agents. Shelomo then decided to build a house for the name of Adonai and a royal palace for himself. Second Chronicles chapter 2. Selection of the temple builders. Shelomo enlisted 70,000 men who carried loads, another 80,000 men who were stonecutters in the hills, and 3,600 supervising them. Then Shelomo sent this message to Huram the king of Zor: "Deal with me, as you dealt with David my father when you sent him cedar logs, so that he could build himself a palace to live in." Selection of materials for the temple. Here, I am about to build a house for the name of Adonai my God, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him incense made of sweet spices. The house will also be for the continuing showbread and for the burnt offerings presented every morning and evening, on the Shabbats, at every Rosh Chodesh, and at the designated times of Adonai our God. This is a perpetual regulation for Yisrael. The house I will build will be great, because our God is greater than all gods. But who is equal to building him a house? Why, heaven itself, even the heaven of heavens, cannot contain him. So who am I to build him a house, except to offer sacrifices before him? Now, therefore, send me a man skilled at working with gold, silver, bronze and iron, dealing with purple, crimson, and blue-dyed materials, and capable of doing all kinds of engraving. He will be with the skilled craftsmen I have with me in Yehuda and Yerushalayim, whom David my father provided. Also send me cedar, cypress and sandalwood logs from the Lebanon, for I know that your servants are skilled in cutting timber in the Lebanon. I will have my servants work together with your servants, to prepare me an abundant supply of timber, for the house I am about to build must be magnificent and wonderful. I will give your servants, the woodcutters who cut the timber, 100,000 bushels of cracked wheat, 100,000 bushels of barley, 100,000 gallons of wine, and 100,000 gallons of olive oil. Huram the king of Zor wrote this answer and sent it to Shelomo. Because the Lord loves his people, he has made you king over them. Huram continued, Blessed be Adonai, the God of Israel, who made heaven and earth, who has given David the king a wise, knowledgeable son with common sense to build a house for Adonai and a royal palace for himself. Now I am sending a man of skill and understanding, my master craftsman Huram, the son of a woman who was one of the daughters of Dan, while his father was a man from Zor. He is skilled in working gold, silver, bronze, iron, stone, and timber, as well as purple and blue-dyed materials, fine linen and crimson material. He can do any kind of engraving, and he can make all the equipment necessary to accomplish any task assigned to him, with the help of your craftsmen and those of my lord David your father. Therefore let my lord send his servants the wheat, barley, oil and wine he has spoken of. And we will cut wood from the Lebanon, as much as you need. We will float it to you as rafts by sea to Yaffo, and you will take it up to Yerushalayim. Shelomo took a census of all the foreigners in the land of Yisrael, following the pattern of the census of David his father. They were found to number 153,600. He appointed 70,000 of them to carry loads, 80,000 to be stonecutters in the hills and 3,600 as supervisors to assign the people their work. Second Chronicles chapter 3. Solomon begins building the temple. Then Shelomo began to build the house of Adonai in Yerushalayim on Mount Moriah, where Adonai had appeared to David his father. Provision had been made for this at the place David had chosen, the threshing floor of Ornan the Yevuzi. He began building in the 4th year of his reign, on the 2nd day of the 2nd month. These are the foundations Shelomo laid for building the house of God. The length in Old Standard cubits was 60 cubits, 105 feet, and the width 20 cubits, 35 feet. The length of the hall fronting the house was the same as the house's width, 35 feet, and the height 210 feet, and he overlaid it with pure gold. The larger house he covered with cypress wood, which he overlaid with fine gold and embossed with palm trees and chains. He also decorated the building with precious stones and gold from Parvaim. Overlaying the house and its beams, thresholds, walls and doors with gold and carving cherubim on the walls. Then he made the especially holy place. Its length matched the width of the house, 35 feet, and its width was 35 feet. He overlaid it with 20 tons of fine gold. The weight of the nails was 1¼ pounds of gold, and he overlaid the upper rooms with gold. Inside the especially holy place he made 2 cherubim of cast metal, and they overlaid them with gold. The wings of the cherubim were 35 feet long. The wing of the one cherub was 8¾ feet long and touched the wall of the house. The other wing was also 8¾ feet long, so that it touched the wing of the other cherub. The wing of the other cherub was 8¾ feet long, touching the wall of the house, and the other wing was also 8¾ feet long, touching the wing of the first cherub. The wings of these cherubim spread out over 35 feet. They stood on their feet with their faces turned inward. He made the curtain of blue, purple and crimson material and of fine linen, with a design of cherubim worked into it. In front of the house he made 2 columns 61¼ feet high, with a capital of 8¾ feet on top of each. He made chains in the sanctuary and added them to the tops of the columns, and he made 100 pomegranates and attached them to the chains. He erected the columns in front of the temple, one on the right and the other on the left. The one on the right he called Yakin, and the one on the left he called Boaz. Second Chronicles chapter 4. He made an altar of bronze 35 feet long, 35 feet wide and 17½ feet high. He made the cast metal circular, 17½ feet from rim to rim, 8¾ feet high and 52½ feet in circumference. Below the rim a ring of ox-like figures encircled it, 10 for every 21 inches all the way around the sea. The oxen were in 2 rows. They were cast when the sea was cast. It rested on 12 oxen, 3 looking north, 3 looking west, 3 looking south and 3 looking east, all with their hindquarters toward the center. The sea was set on top of them. It was a handbreadth thick. Its rim was made like the rim of a cup, like the flower of a lily, and its capacity was 16,500 gallons. He also made 10 basins for washing and put 5 on the right and 5 on the left. Items needed for the burnt offerings would be cleansed in these, but the sea was for the Kohanim to wash in. He made the 10 menorahs of gold in accordance with their specifications and set them in the temple, 5 on the right and 5 on the left. He also made 10 tables and put them in the temple, 5 on the right and 5 on the left. And he made 100 basins of gold. He made the courtyard for the Kohanim and the great courtyard, also the doors to the courtyard, which he overlaid with bronze. The sea he placed on the right side of the house, toward the southeast. Huram made the ashpots, shovels and sprinkling basins. With that, Huram completed the work he had been doing for King Shlomo in the house of God. The 2 columns, the 2 moldings, the 2 capitals on top of the columns, the 2 nettings covering the 2 moldings of the capitals atop the columns, and the 400 pomegranates for the 2 nettings, 2 rows of pomegranates for each netting, to cover the 2 moldings of the capitals atop the columns. He also made the trolleys, the basins on the trolleys, the 1 sea, the 12 oxen under it, the ashpots, the shovels, the forks and all the other equipment for it. All these articles that Huram the master craftsman made for King Shlomo in the house of Adonai were of brilliant bronze. The king cast them in the plain of the Yarden, in the clay ground between Sukkoth and Zeredah. Shelomo made so many of these objects that the total weight of the bronze could not be determined. Shelomo made all the objects that were inside the house of God: the gold altar, the table on which the showbread was displayed, the menorahs with their lamps to burn in front of the sanctuary as specified, of pure gold, the flowers, lamps and tongs of gold, solid gold, and the snuffers, bowls, cups and firepans of pure gold. As for the entryway to the house, the inner doors for the especially holy place and the doors of the house, that is, of the temple, were of gold.